What's going on? My name's Sam, I'm from Pioneer DJ and we're here in Leeds with Bot DJ to talk about the DJM-V10. Okay guys, so first things first, I'm going to talk to you about my setup and what's running into the V10. I have a CDJ-3000, I have the squid that's currently sequencing my AS1 synthesizer and my Minotaur synthesizer. And it's also sequencing something from Ableton, just a little synth from Ableton. So what's happening is we're combining DJing, analog, production, it's everything rolled into one, all feeding back to the V10. So let's dive into the V10 now and let's have a look at what we've got per channel. So channel 1, channel 2, I'm going to start my MIDI off. That's my AS1. Channel 3, my Minotaur. Channel 4 is running the vinyl, and channel 5 is feeding back from Ableton. Good. Now, I'm not going to dive into channel 6 just yet because it's running certain effects. We're going to go into that a little bit further on. So for now, I'm just going to use my AS1 as an example, and I'm going to dive into each channel and what it can do. So first things first, you'll notice it's got a 4-band EQ. This is really great when you're trying to separate a lot of frequencies. So with this specific sound, I took a lot of the low end out. Take the mids, low mids, highs. It's a really useful tool when you're blending production and DJing, or if you're just doing the DJing side of things. Below that, we've got an independent filter pot. Now on our previous mixes, we've never had this before, and I'm really happy that this has been brought forward to the V10. Over to the left, you'll notice a low pass and a high pass cutoff. For me, I've used filters on mixers for many years, and that is probably the nicest sounding filter I've ever experienced. It's a really rich sound. Moving further down, we have our send pots. So essentially what you're going to be doing with these is you're going to be sending your built-in effects or your external effects. Now, how this works is your built-in is down here. So we've got short delay, long delay, dub echo, reverb. So let's have a listen if I turn master mix on, and I'm going to send a dub echo. And there's the tail end of my dub echo. Now it works the exact same way with reverb, long delay, etc. Essentially what you're doing when you turn master mix on is it's sending it to this pot here per channel. You can't actually affect the wet mix of your sends. Essentially what we want to do is send the wet signal down a different channel so we can shape this even further, and that's what I'm going to do. Moving back just above your trim pot here, you have your input selection here. Now you've got various ways of using each channel, but I'm just going to jump to my channel 6 and I'm going to send it to built-in, extension 1 and extension 2. Now I could just use built-in on each channel, but all the channels are currently being used by other pieces of equipment. So I'm just going to go straight to built-in, and it's now going to send the wet signal all the way down to channel 6. I've still kept my send up, but I've turned my master mix off because this then allows it to travel down to channel 6. So here's my dry mix. And then I'm going to bring in my dub echo down channel 6. And there it is down channel 6. Now what this allows us to do is to shape that tail end. So I'd probably take a lot off the bottom and maybe stick a high pass. And here it is, and you can really shape these tail ends. You know, short delay dub echo work great like this, and you can get out of it by a nice filter. So you're probably wondering what extension 1 and extension 2 mean now as well. So within the mixer we've actually got 2 extra send and returns on extension 1 and extension 2. And then we've got a multi in and out send and return for the master. So I've used extension 1 down to my phaser here. Now this is just a phaser pedal. Great ones are delays, reverb, phaser, chorus, anything like that. And I've just done a mono send and then returned it back. Now moving down to channel 6 where my dub echo is, if I bring in this dry signal again, and all I'm going to do is now click extension 1, but I'm not going to turn on any of my built-in. Click extension 1 and this will fire now down to channel 6. You can actually see the signals coming through on channel 6. And it's added a nice phaser over the top of the AS1. Now we can take this even further because we can actually activate a reverb as well. So you'd have a reverb, a phaser, in this sense a phaser, or you could have a delay pedal, etc. And I'm going to add some reverb to that. Now the controls for the reverb and your parameters are down here. This is your built-in control. So I'm just going to bring the feedback back a bit and maybe the timing. And I'm going to access the reverb. And there's the reverb and extension 1, so you're phasing the reverb down one channel. Now the beautiful thing about this mixer is, let's say for example I wasn't playing on my vinyl player here, I turn this completely off and I unplug it from this channel. This channel 4, I can now select a built-in and I could make channel 6 just extension 1. So I could send my built-in sends here down channel 4 and channel 6 is solely for extension 1, my phaser, so I've got them separated. You can even take this further. If you had something in extension 2, I could make channel 4 my built-in, channel 5 extension 1, channel 6 extension 2. You've got 3 external effects there. So this is a really powerful tool, especially for the mixology and the mixing purposes. So moving forward, let's have a look at some of the other features of the mixer itself. One thing I really like, especially when creating these huge build-ups, is we've now got a 3-band EQ isolator, which is complete kill. If I set my deck off here, nice really big pan pot, so you know exactly what you're touching. If you're working with a 6-channel mixer and you've got the first 4 channels being used for, say for example, CDJs or a production, and you want to create this build up ready for the drop and you want to take all of the low frequencies out, it's quite difficult to go through every single one and then turn them back on. So this has allowed us to just completely kill whichever frequencies you'd like just by the touch of our hands. So I've got this track here, and I tell you what, let's send it down channel 6. Reverb. So what that has just allowed me to do is I've just spiced it up a little bit, made a little bit more drama by sending my phaser and dub echo down channel 6, and then I completely killed the frequencies for the build up, and then as soon as I turn these off, bring my frequencies back in, and there's your drop. You know, so this is a really powerful tool if you ask me. Second thing I really like as well, and this is the first time this has been done on a mixer, is we have an onboard compressor per channel, and you've got one on every single channel. A compression pot within this mixer is controlling your threshold and your gain. It's reducing the dynamic range of per track, perceiving the track to be louder. Now the question is, where would you use this? So if you're delving into production and DJing and a little bit of vinyl, etc., and there's different signals coming in, if you're playing vinyl from a long time ago, it's probably not to the level that this digital mix is now. So the compression really brings that forward in quality, you know, reducing the dynamic range, perceiving the sound to be louder. So I'm just going to set off my AS1. So here's my dry AS1 sound, no effects on it. And I'm going to turn the compression completely off, and then I'm just going to bring the compression slowly in. So there's the complete dry sound. Let's bring this compression in. Now it hasn't affected the VU meter because that's not what it's there for. It's perceiving the sound to be louder by reducing the dynamic range. This works great when, again, you're working with old school vinyl, or if you are mixing different types of production, it's great to get that nice stereo balance by using the compressor. So again, that's definitely one of my favourite features. So another one of the cool features with the V10 is its ability to send clock out to your production equipment, but still stay in time with your CDJs or anything you're playing through the V10. Currently how this is set up, I've got a link, Cat5 link straight from my CDJ into my V10, which is taking the BPM reading from the CDJ 3000, and then I've got MIDI clock out into my Squid, which is then sending clock to my other synthesizers or my other areas of production, and it will all follow my CDJ. So again, really pushing the production and the DJing elements through one mixer. So a few more cool features with the V10, which really for me sets it aside from other mixers out there. We now have headphone A and headphone B. So if you're doing back-to-back, or if you are live productionists, or you are back-to-back as a group, or you're playing in a club with another DJ, we've got two headphone cues. So you've got headphone cue B, headphone cue A. So you can both be listening to different areas of the mixer. The booth monitor has got a nice gain here, really well set out, and it's also got a nice 2-band EQ for your booth as well, because if you have played in clubs before, as you know, it can be quite sharp on the ears, your booth monitoring. So we've added a nice 2-band EQ so you can really get a personalised shape of the sound with inside the booth. So the last thing I want to show you guys is the effects section here. So we've got a classic 14 beat effects here with a brand new shimmer effect. Above it we've got a frequency cut-off, so we can cut the mid, the high and the low on the frequencies. Really good when you're using things like delays. For example, if I was to use a delay, I'd probably turn my mid and my high off. Get it on a half, start off my track. Just roll in that little snare. Above the effects, you'll notice the brand new My Settings and Utility menu. So there's quite a lot of information packed into the V10. Now, the beautiful thing about this, it will change depending on which effect you're playing with. So for example, if I was going to go to my filter, it has a nice modulation X pad. Or for example, if I go to Reverb, it's also got an X pad and it's got a low pass and high pass filter. So there you have it guys, there's a brief overview, some tips and tricks and some new information about the DJM-V10. Trust me, there is so much more that this mixer can do. Please get yourself down to the local Bop DJ store and come and have a play.